Welcome to the analysis of Endeavour Open Mock CMAT 3 in the 2022 season. Here in this slide, we are going to focus on the language comprehension section of Endeavour Open Mock CMAT 2022 3. Now, when we look at the analysis, we are bothered about basically three aspects. One is the topic distribution. So we've looked at the questions. We will look at the questions and also try and tell you the weightage or try and tell you the importance of various topics that have come through the topic wise question distribution. Then question mapping. This is very important because all three aspects, the easy, moderate, and difficult questions are present in this particular section. So which were those questions? So question numbers which were considered easy, the question numbers which were considered moderate, question numbers which were considered difficult will be covered here. And obviously, after we've done the question mapping, we'll automatically come to expected attempts, and the ballpark figure that we will look at is a 98 percentile figure, a 98 percentile figure. When we come to the topic distribution aspect, if you notice carefully, you had vocabulary based questions, which were 4 vocabulary based questions distributed among antonyms, synonyms, and usage. So antonyms, you had 1 question, usage, you had 1 question, and synonyms, you had 2 questions. One thing that jumps out straight away is the fact that you had 4 reading comprehension passages and a total of 17 questions spreading across these 4 passages. Another aspect that comes through is you just had 1 critical reasoning question, an inference based question, 1 grammar question, which is a spotting the errors question, and 1 parajumbles question, and a fact inference judgment question came through as well this time around. So all we can see is out of 25 questions, 17 were focused on reading comprehension overall. And when we come to the reading comprehension passages, we can see that the first one, the first passage was based on defense of skin against pathogenic organisms. You had 3 questions there, out of which two were moderate and 1 was easy. But partially indirect questions, out of which question 8 was easy and question 10 was moderate. You had 1 primary purpose question which can be termed as moderate because the options were not that close, nor were they very far. It was something that you could pinpoint, especially by eliminating options. The next one, if you look at it, the next passage was American War of Independence and Slavery, inconsistency there. You had 4 questions totally in this passage, out of which you had 2 inference based questions and 1 direct question and 1 central idea question. 2 were moderate, the central idea question, and 1 inference question was moderate. 1 inference question was easy and the direct question was easy. So this is a passage that you should have attempted or you could have attempted. Even the first one you could have attempted, but the only thing that could stand in your way is the fact that you just had 3 questions along with it. Here you have 4 questions, 2 were easy and 2 were moderate, so at least you could have gotten 3 right out of 4 on this particular passage. Moving ahead, the next one is a passage based on equal pay and differential pay, especially to women in 1300s, and the perspectives of historians regarding the situation. So here, if you notice, you had 2 inference based questions. Question number 15 was easy, question 16 was moderate. 2 direct questions, which were both of them were easy, 17 and 18, and you had 1 primary purpose question which was termed as difficult. So obviously, if you discount the difficult question, you still had 4 questions to play around with, and you should have made sure that all 4 were right. So out of 5, you could have gotten 4 right if you had attempted this particular passage. So, and this is a pretty doable passage. The next passage that we have here is based on study of cosmic dark age, You had 5 questions and all 5 were direct questions, out of which we can say 4 were easy and 1 was moderate. So should have at least gotten 4 right and 1 wrong, or 5 right, So I would have backed myself to get all 5 right. So the last 2 passages, the study of cosmic dark age and equal pay and differential pay, especially to women in 1300s, and the perspectives of historians, interpretation of historians related to that. Uh, Both these passages had 5 questions each. So you were talking about 10 questions, out of which you could say that around 9 was there for the taking. You should have uh, made sure that 9 were correct out of the 10. 8 or 9 out of 10 at least. Yeah. So, and the passage that you could have avoided, or you could have kept it for the last, was the first passage where you just had 3 questions, out of which 2 were moderate and 1 was easy. So the return on investment in terms of time is much less there. Para jumbles, you had 1 question, and it was a fairly easy question, question number 1, because the opening statement was pretty apparent, and you had 1 or 2 links that were apparent as well. So once the opening statement was apparent, which was B for Bombay in the set, uh, you could actually eliminate 2 options and narrow it down to 2 options. So, and then you look at 1 or 2 other links, and the question was there for the taking. So I think this was a pretty doable question, question number 1. When we look at the grammar question, it is a subject verb agreement question, spotting the error question or error detection. Very easy. Subject verb agreement, if you are fairly aware of subject verb agreement, it is pretty doable, to be honest. Question number 25. Critical reasoning, you had an inference based question which can be categorized as an easy question, question number 4, uh, because the options were far away. The options were far away to the point that 1 or 2 options were irrelevant as well. So it is from that perspective an easy question to deal with, because the options were far away. Vocabulary, you had practically 4 vocabulary based questions. So you had 1 usage based question, which you could say was moderate in difficulty level, 1 antonyms based question, which was easy, 2 synonyms based question, out of which question 7 was easy and question 6 was moderate. So overall I'm looking at least 3 out of 4 here from a vocabulary perspective. Especially the antonyms question, which is easy, and the synonyms question, which was easy, were based on words which were pretty common, and the expectation is you would know the meanings of those words. The fact inference judgment question, you had 1 question, which is question number 2, and it was difficult because it was slightly difficult to identify or differentiate between judgment and inference there in the set, and this can be categorized as a difficult question, something that you could have avoided, because the way the options were set up, even if you were able to figure out a straight up judgment from the set, uh, still you were not able to eliminate all options and get to 1. So you were still playing around with 2 or 3 options even after figuring out 1 or 2 statements from the set. So this is a question type or question you could have avoided attempting. If you wanted to attempt, you could have given it max 1 minute, not more than that, because it was not worth spending a lot more time on it, because the chances of your getting it wrong was high. In terms of the expected attempts, based on what we discussed, the summary related to the difficulty levels are something like this. You had, out of 25, you had 15 questions which were termed as easy, and sure enough, you should have made sure that you attempted all those 15 questions. You had 8 moderate questions, out of which you could have attempted 4 or 5 max. You had 2 difficult questions, out of which you could have attempted 1 or maybe skipped both the questions. So we are looking at around 20 questions that could have been attempted out of 25, and a 98 percentile figure is somewhere close to 60, which is, out of 20 attempts, we are expecting that you get 16 right, 80% accuracy, which will get you to a score of 60 if you take in the fact that you have negative marking for wrong answers as well. So 60 marks is a 98 percentile level that is expected for EOM CMAT 3 in the season 2022.
Okay, let's begin with the analysis of the quantitative techniques and data interpretation section of 2022 EOM CMAT 3. In today's analysis, we will be looking at 4 areas. We will be looking at the topic distribution, which is which chapters or categories the questions can be classified into. We will be looking at question mapping in terms of difficulty level, which questions were easy, which ones were moderate, which ones were difficult. We will be looking at the expected attempts and the time that we suggest should have been spent on this section. And finally, we will be looking at the expected score, which will come from the expected attempts. So let us begin with the first area, which is topic distribution. So in this section, there were 3 questions on ratio and proportion, 3 questions on number system, 2 questions on data interpretation, 2 questions on percentage, and 2 questions on data sufficiency. Then we had 1 question on time, speed, and distance, 1 question on simple interest, and 1 question each on time and work, averages, profit and loss, heights and distance, permutation and combination, probability, sequence and series, cubes, and quadrilaterals. And finally, we had 2 miscellaneous questions. So as we can see, this was a pretty well-rounded off section. You had questions from a wide variety of chapters. Now let us look at the question mapping in terms of difficulty level. We will begin with the easy questions. So the first easy question was a time, speed, and distance question. So we had information about a boatman going upstream, then going downstream. So using this information, we could have found the speed downstream and upstream. And therefore, we could have found his speed in stationary water and then found out how long it would have taken him to go 5 kilometers in stationary water. A very easy standard question that should not have been missed. Next, we had a basic question on ratio and proportion. So it was given that for every rupee A has, B has 50 paisa. For every rupee that B has, C has 40 paisa. So therefore, we could have found out the ratio of the money with A, B, and C, and therefore found out that out of 1683, what would have been B's share. Next, we had a simple question on simple interest. So sum of money amounts to rupees 9,800 after 5 years and rupees 12,005 after 8 years at the same rate. And therefore, we had to find the rate. So just by using our standard formulas on simple interest, we could have easily answered this question. It might have taken a little bit of calculation, but at least the comfort would have been there that knowing, okay, I know the formulas, the question is simple. Just by applying the formulas, by doing a little bit of calculation, I will definitely arrive at the right answer. So an easy question that should not have been missed. Next, we had a question on data sufficiency. So we had a question on lines and angles, and we had to find the value of x. So we had 2 statements. Statement A said that P plus R is 100. B said that Q plus X is 110. So by trying them individually, we could see that we were not able to find the value of X. But by combining them, we could have found the value of X. A very easy question that should definitely have been attempted. Next, we had a question on time and work. We had 3 people. It was given that Sidhu takes 30 days to finish a particular job. Now, using the information about efficiency, we could have found the ratio of their efficiencies. Then by multiplying Sidhu's efficiency with 30, we could have found out the total work. Now we had information about how their efficiencies will increase when they are taking help from robots. And then by using that information, we could have found out that in this case, how many days will they take to finish the work. Next, we had a very easy question on ages. So ratio and proportion. So it was given that age of a father 10 years ago was thrice the age of his son. So 10 years ago, we could have taken son's age to be X, father's age to be 3X, and proceeded from there to find the ages 10 years hence. So father's age will be twice that of his son, form the equation, find the value of X, and therefore find the ratio of their present ages. Next, we had a very easy question on averages. it was given that the average of three numbers is 410. So 3 into 410, we could have found out the sum of the three numbers. Now, one of the numbers is 185. Subtracting that, we could have found out the sum of the other two numbers. Difference between the other two numbers was also given. So by using this, we could have found out the exact values of the other two numbers. And therefore, now that we knew the values of the three numbers, we could have easily identified the smallest number. Next, we had a question on data interpretation. So this set on data interpretation had two questions, out of which this one was the easy one. So in this set, we had information about the index number of ordinary share prices. And the question was, in which year was there the widest variation in the index of share prices? So here we just had to look at the highest and lowest columns, find the difference, that would have been the variation. And then out of the options given, find out for which one was there the widest variation, which means the greatest difference between highest and lowest values. Next, we had a basic question on percentages. So length of a rectangle was being increased by 10%, breadth was being decreased by 10%. So we could have assumed values. We could have taken original length and breadth to be 10 each. Therefore, area would have been 100. Length is increasing by 10%. Okay, it is becoming 11. Breadth is decreasing by 10%. Okay, it is becoming 9. 11 into 9, 99. So from 100 to 99, there is a 1% decrease. Very, very easy question. Should have been done in 30 seconds. Next, percentage profit earned by selling an article. Okay, a question on profit and loss. So selling price is given. So when there is a percentage profit, and selling price is given when there is a percentage loss, and percentage profit is equal to the percentage loss in these cases. So we could have formed a basic equation and therefore found the cost price and therefore found the selling price required to make a 25% profit. Next, we had a question on ratio, a very, very easy question, that the ratio of the arithmetic mean and the second number of two numbers is 3:5. What is the ratio of the two numbers? So by taking the two numbers to be A and B, the arithmetic mean would have been A plus B by 2. And therefore, the ratio of the arithmetic mean to the second number, which is B, is equal to 3:5. Just by forming this very simple equation, we could have easily found out the ratio of the two numbers. Next, we had a question in which it was given that the smallest positive integer n, for which n square plus 3n plus 7 is divisible by 7 and also by a prime number other than 5 is. Now we had the four options, so we should have proceeded from the options. Now the question is asking us for the smallest positive integer n, which will satisfy these conditions. So from the options, we should have started from the smallest value. We should have taken n to be 4, put in the value of n as equal to 4 in n square plus 3n plus 7, and then seen whether it was satisfying the conditions. If it was not satisfying, we would have moved on to the next smallest value, which is 5, and therefore proceeded in this manner. Next, we had an easy question, a very standard question on election between two candidates. So we had some invalid votes and some valid votes, and we had information about the margin by which the winner was winning. So just by taking the number of valid votes to be 100x, winner is getting 72x. Okay, so loser is getting 28x. Difference is 44x, which is equal to 440. So we could have found the value of x. We could have found the total number of valid votes, added that to the total number of invalid votes to find out the total number of votes cast. Very easy question, should not have been missed. Next, we had an easy question on terminating decimals. So from the word itself, terminating, even if we had not come across it before or had forgotten, we should have understood, okay, terminate means to end. So terminating decimal is a decimal that ends. So we could have seen from the options 1 by 3 is 0.3333, it keeps on going. So it does not end. 24 by 15, if we cancel off 3, it will be 8 by 5, which is equal to 1.6. Okay, that is ending. So that is a terminating decimal, and that would have been our answer. Next, we had a question. Now we are coming to the moderate questions. So we had a question on heights and distance combined with time, speed, and distance. So man was watching from the top of the tower, a boat speeding away from the tower. Initial angle of depression was 45 degrees. when it was a distance of 60 meters from the tower. After 5 seconds, angle of depression was becoming 30 degrees. So using this information, we could have found out the speed of the boat, but the only area which would have caused some trouble to us was that we had to find the approximate speed of the boat. So from meter per second, we had to convert it into kilometer per hour. So some degree of calculation was required, which was not very easy, but at the same time, not difficult at all. So it would have just taken a bit of time. You would have had to approximate a little bit, but this was a standard question and you could have easily arrived at the answer. Next, we had a question in which a parallelogram was being cut by two sets of M lines parallel to its sides. And we had to find out the number of parallelograms then formed. So here we had to see that, okay, if M lines are being drawn inside the parallelogram, then we have a total of M plus 2 vertical lines and M plus 2 horizontal lines. And how do we form a parallelogram? Out of the total vertical lines, we choose 2 vertical lines. So that we can do in M plus 2 C2 ways. Total number of horizontal lines, choose 2 of them. So M plus 2 C2 again. So the final answer would have been M plus 2 C2 whole square. Next, we had another data sufficiency question in which we were given that P and Q are positive integers, P is greater than Q. We had to answer the question, is P plus Q a prime number? So if we looked at the first statement that P minus Q is a prime number, from here we could have seen that P plus Q could have been a prime number or may not have been a prime number. So from the first statement alone, we could not have answered the question. But from the second statement that P into Q is odd, we could have seen that, okay, if P into Q is odd, that means both P and Q are odd. And if P is greater than Q, then it has to be true that P plus Q is not a prime number, because then it will be an even number that is greater than 2. So statement B alone was sufficient to answer this question. Next, we had a question on probability. So there were 10 bulbs in a bag, out of which 5 were defective. 3 bulbs were being selected randomly for 3 sockets in a room. And we had to find the probability that the room would be lighted, given that everything else was in good condition. Now here, the tricky part was that the room has to be lighted. So if the room is lighted, that can happen even with 1 bulb. It does not have to be true that all the 3 bulbs have to be lighted. Even if 1 bulb is lighted, okay, the room is lighted. So this was the part where many people might have made a mistake. So here we had to use the concept of at least 1. We had to find the probability that at least 1 bulb would be lighted, which was 1 minus the probability that no bulb would be lighted. Next, we had a question in which we had a tribe of 10 families. And there was something about arithmetic progression. Okay, number of offspring or children are in arithmetic progression, starting with 2 children, and common difference is 1. So we could have found out number of children ranges from 2 to 11. It was given that every child in a family has as many cattle to look after as the number of offspring in the family. So for example, in a family, if there are 5 children, then each of those 5 children has 5 cattle to look after. So the total number of cattle in that particular family would have been 5 into 5 or 5 square. So the total number of cattle would have been 2 square plus 3 square and so on until 11 square. So to that, we could have just added 1 square and subtracted 1 square. Then use the formula for the sum of the squares of the first n natural numbers to find 1 square plus 2 square until 11 square. And therefore, we could have answered this question. This was a question that some people might have made a mistake, that they might not have understood properly exactly what the question was asking. So it was a good question, but as long as you were calm and approached it systematically, you should have been able to answer it. Next, we had a question on cubes. So we had a cube of 1 meter edge length, out of which smaller cubes were being cut, each of 1 millimeter edge length. So the only problem here was that a lot of conversion was required. Okay, 1 meter, we had to convert to millimeter. So that would have been 1000 millimeter. Now we had to find the total number of cubes formed, smaller cubes formed, which would have been the volume of the bigger cube divided by volume of each of the smaller cubes. And that would have been a large number, 10 to the power 9. And from this, we had to see that, okay, how many smaller cubes there are. For example, if there are 5 smaller cubes, that means the total length of the rope is coming out to be 5 millimeter, because each edge of the cube is adding, one cube is basically adding 1 millimeter to the length. So the total number of smaller cubes is equal to the total length. So that we would have found in millimeter, and then we would have had to convert it to kilometer by dividing it with 1000 twice. Next, we had a question on lottery. So it was given that in a lottery, there are 4 cash prizes and a certain amount is set aside for that purpose. First prize is rupees X more than half the amount. Second prize is rupees 2X more than half the remaining amount. Third prize is rupees 3X more than half the remaining amount. Fourth prize is rupees 4X more than half the remaining amount. Now here, if we had proceeded systematically from the beginning, that, okay, let the total amount be X. So the first prize will be, okay, not X, but let the total amount be, for example, A. So the first prize will be X more than half the amount. So A by 2 plus X. Then we could have found, okay, what is remaining? Then the second prize will be half of that plus 2X. Then again, what is remaining? Then third will be half of that plus 3X, and so on. But here, calculation would have been a bit difficult. We would have had to go into decimals, had to keep on subtracting, keep finding the remaining, then finding the next prize, and so on. A lot of calculation would have been involved. But if we had proceeded in the reverse manner, that starting from the fourth prize, then we could have done everything in terms of integers, and it would have been easier. So this was not an easy question. Now, I will not call it difficult at the same time, because if you just knew the concept of proceeding in the reverse manner, this would not have been too much trouble. And maths is all about experience. It is all about practicing enough so that you come across a wide variety of questions like these, which are not very rare. You come across these questions if you practice enough. So if you had practiced enough, if you were well prepared, you would have had an idea of how to approach this question. And you would not have found it easy, but at the same time, because you had some experience with it, you would not have found it too difficult as well. Therefore, this is a moderate set. There were 2 questions here, and both of them can be classified as moderate. Next, we had a question in which we were asked which of the following 4-sided figures is cyclic. Now here we could have seen, okay, first option is trapezium, but that does not necessarily mean that it is cyclic. Cyclic quadrilateral is one in which the sum of the opposite angles is 180, and for a trapezium, that is not necessarily true. But we could have seen for the second option, isosceles trapezium, okay, base angles are equal, and we have parallel lines. So because of those 2 factors, the sum of the opposite angles would have been 180 degrees, and therefore isosceles trapezium will be cyclic. Next, we have the second question on data interpretation from the same set as we have seen before on share prices. So the question was, in which year was the index of share prices at the end of the year closest to the average of such indices for the whole period? So here we had to find the average of indices for the whole period. So for the second column, we had to add up all the values. Then we had to divide by the number of years. And then we had to see in which year was the index of share prices closest to this average value. So this was not a difficult question conceptually. In fact, conceptually, it was a very easy question. The only problem was that a lot of calculation was involved. Already the values are in decimals, 103.6, 125.1, and so on. So we had to add them up, then divide by the number of years, which was 7. And therefore, again, it would have come in decimals. So all of this would have taken time. So because of this, this has been classified as a time-consuming question. If you had the time, if this section was your strength and the other questions you did very quickly, then you could have tackled this question also. But this was a reliable, dependable question. You knew that if you just put in the time, put in the effort, you would have got the right answer. Next, we had a question in which we had to find the greatest 5-digit number, which is a perfect square, and we had the 4 options. So here at the beginning, a bit of hit and trial was required. We could have seen the perfect square for 300, which would be 90,000. We could have seen for 310, which would have been 961 into 100, so 96,100. we could have seen for 320 square, it is crossing 5-digit numbers. It is becoming a 6-digit number. Okay, so my answer has to be between 310 square and 320 square. Now, by observing the options, we could have seen that the options are either ending with 6 or 5. Last digit of the options is either 6 or 5. So the last digit of the values I'm looking at between 310 and 320 square. So between 310 and 320, we had to look at 314, 315, and 360. Because the squares of these would have ended in either 5 or 6. And in this way, we could have solved this question. Now, this was a time-consuming question because we had to, first of all, follow the logical thought process. Okay, look at the unit digit and find our range 310 square, 320 square, and so on. Then actually find the values of the squares. For example, 314 square or 316 square. That would have taken a bit of time. Now we can look at the expected attempts, expected score, and suggested time for this section. So first of all, we can see that in this section, there were a total of 14 easy questions, 9 moderate questions, and 2 moderate but time-consuming questions. So we expect that the average well-prepared student should have attempted 13 of the 14 easy questions. Because these 14 questions, they were quite easy and these should not have been missed. These were a gift. This would have helped you to maximize your marks. Other people would have solved this question. Most people in an aptitude test, they look for the easy questions at the beginning. So most people should have been able to solve most of these questions. So not solving these questions would have put you at a disadvantage. So out of these 14 easy questions, 13 at least should definitely have been attempted. Now, out of the 9 moderate questions, 6 at least should have been attempted. Maybe 3 of them, those which were a bit difficult, which were not playing to your strength, those could have been left out, but 6 at least should have been attempted. And out of the 2 moderate but time-consuming questions, if these questions were not to your strength, or if you did not have time left to work for these questions, they could have been skipped. So out of the total of 25 questions in this section, we expect that students should have attempted at least 19 of them. Now, if you had attempted 19, and even if you had got 3 of them incorrect out of the 19, we expect that 16 at least should have been correct. So if you have 16 correct and 3 incorrect, that would have fetched you a score of 61 in this section. And for this number of attempts, we suggest that around 50 minutes should have been spent on this section. More time could have been spent if this section was not to your strength. Less time could have been spent if this section was to your strength and you were very confident. But for the average student, 50 minutes should have been ideal. With this, we conclude the analysis for the quantitative techniques and data interpretation section of 2022 EOM CMAT 3.
Hello students and welcome to the mock analysis of CMAT Mock 3 Endeavour Open Mock. So we'll be doing now the analysis of logical reasoning section. We'll see as to what is the question mapping out of the 25 questions, which are easy question, which are moderate question, and which are difficult question. The expected attempts and the expected correct attempts from that. Okay, so let's go for first the topic distribution. Okay, so as you can see it in your paper, there are 9 questions which are directly tabular puzzle, which means you will have to make a table and solve it. Then there are 4 questions on ranking based puzzle where you have to rank it, who is first, second, third, fourth, like that. And then there are different conditions given for ranking. Then row arrangement, you have 2 questions, okay, which is about 12 people. 6 are facing north, 6 are facing south. Okay, so you have 2 questions there. 2 questions from syllogisms, 2 from assumptions, 2 from number series, 1 from direction sense, 1 from blood relation, 1 from coding decoding, and 1 is a truth teller and liar kind of a puzzle. Okay, so total questions 25 coming from this various topics. Now let's see which are the easy question, moderate question, and the difficult question. Okay, I'll just go through the question. I'll tell you which are moderate, which are easy, and difficult. So this is the first question I come across. This is a moderate question because you just have to arrange them from lowest to the highest value. Now even if you don't see the value, even if you just see what are the conditions that are given here, you can eliminate the option and reach on to the right answer. Okay, but this will take some time. To get to the exact solution of this, you can see the mock solution. There I had explained it in detail how to get the solution for this. For currently, I'll just tell you this is a moderate question because this will take time, but this will give you the answer. Then we come on to this question. This I consider this to be difficult because you will have to make this table and the condition given are not plain. Okay, I can write the points here, but after that I will also have to think. Okay, so difficult question because it will take time and it is not sure that you will get the right answer. Okay, that's why difficult. Then we come on to next. This is again a moderate question. This is a ranking based puzzle. Okay, so simply arrange them in the form of their rank. The detailed solution of this is again given in the solution of mock. This is again a difficult question which is from a truth teller and a liar puzzle. Okay, but you have to see the statement carefully to reach on to the answer. So I would put this as difficult because not sure that you will reach on to the right answer. The one who gets the right link, which I had explained in the video solution, then you can reach on to the right answer for this. This is again your moderate puzzle. There's a tabular puzzle, okay, where you just have to make a table. So this will take time, but this should give you the answer. Okay, because the condition given here are plain. Okay, you just have to make a table and it will be easy. The question also is very simple. So if you just relate to question and pick up only the data which is required to answer this one question, it will be very easy. Okay, I had explained this in the solution. This was an easy puzzle which is from coding decoding. Just +5 you add and you get the next alphabet. So this should have been solved. This is again an easy. Okay, the condition given here are very simple. That's why I say this to be as easy. Okay, either you keep an Iraqi Chinese like this, or you keep Iraqi Chinese like this, or you keep Iraqi Chinese like this. So with this two condition, with this two condition, with this two condition. So 6 possibilities, but which are very easy. Okay, and it can easily help you to reach on to the answer. Next is a number series. You have to find the wrong term in the series, but this is difficult. Okay, this is a whole number series. The whole numbers are 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and you have to add first the 0, then 0 and 1, keep it here, then 0, 1, 2, 3, keep it here, and then so on. To get this click is difficult. Okay, that's why I place this in a difficult problem. This is an easy problem on number series. Here you just have to add the consecutive even numbers. Okay, so add 2, add 4, add 6, add 8. So that is what will tell you that 120 is a wrong term. It should be replaced by 118. Okay, so an easy problem that should have been solved. This is again an easy problem because the statement is very easy and the straight assumption that you can take from this is 1 and 2. Okay, so commercial is given, use Fair and Lovely cold cream for fair complexion. Someone who wrote this statement had some assumption in his brain. So what are his assumption? People like to use cream, yes, or else why he would have made this? People respond to advertisement according to him. Okay, that is his assumption that people will respond to this. People may or may not, right? Assumption is always there in the mind of a speaker. So clearly 1 and 2. Okay, an easy question. Similarly, an easy question here where clearly only one is the implicit. You don't know anything about the chairman. Let's read this. Okay, we must introduce objective type test to improve our examination for admission to MBA. This is what the chairman of admission committee tells. So the admission committee wants to improve the admission procedure. Yes. Okay, quite something that is implicit from this. The chairman has an MBA, no information. There is no other entrance exam, no information. So clearly out of scope and one is an assumption. That's why I say this is easy. Because it's easy to analyze and reach on to the answer. Okay, there are no complicated statement given here. A very, very simple syllogisms. Okay, so if you are done with syllogisms, this should be very easy. All reds are guavas, some guavas are grapes. So some reds are grapes, not possible. Some grapes are red, not possible. Okay, I can solve this in 10 seconds and say that D is an answer. Similarly, second one, all puppets are dolls, all dolls are toys. Okay, rub this one. All dolls are toys. So this is what I have. So from this, what can you say? Some toys are puppets. Yes, some toys will be puppets. All toys are puppets. No, all puppets are toys. Okay, so gone. Within 10 seconds, I know the answer. So an easy question. This is where you have to make a table to solve this, but it's very easy because the information given here is direct. If you check in the video solution, I told you how to make this table quite easily. The information is direct. You just have to write it in the table and the answer will be ready. Okay, so an easy puzzle that should be solved. This is a question on cubes. I keep it easy because we know the formula for this. Two-face colored is being asked. Okay, two-face colored, you always get it on edge. 12 such edges. The question is how many per edge. That is given by formula length of the edge minus 2. 64 small pieces, so length of the edge will be 4. 4 minus 2, 2. 12 into 2, 24. But they are asking you green, black and green, red. So it will be green, black will be 8. Okay, green, red will be 8. And then the last color, black, red will be 8. Right, this is how the 24 will be distributed, but they are asking me only this. So 8 plus 8, answer is 16. Okay, I had explained this in detail if you watch the video solution, but here we will keep it easy because we can just solve this by formula in 10 seconds. Okay, so an easy question. This I would keep it as moderate. Okay, you can easily solve it. Okay, there is no problem. Once you get these conditions, there are only two cases. This has to be Atish. So Atish and Banet. Okay, this is the only point where you will find two different cases. Okay, so it will take time, but it should give you answer. Okay, not a difficult problem. Then this is one problem on blood relation, which is very easy. You just make a simple table with whatever is given, plot, and you will get the answer as D. Okay, so an easy puzzle. This is the puzzle on direction sense. Whatever is given, put it here. Okay, then whatever is asked, check it, and you will reach on to the answer. Okay, not moderate also, very easy. Just put the things in this, make it correct, and then just go on to find the answer. Okay, the only way you can get it wrong is by not knowing direction sense or by making some silly mistakes. Okay, there is no scope to get wrong here. Then we come on to the next. This I keep it as difficult. Okay, because you have to read the information, you have to understand, analyze, and then you can reach on to the answer. But if you go by options, okay, it will be very easy. Okay, how to solve this, I had told this in the video solution, check it there. But still, if you don't get the click, then it's difficult. If you get the click, then it's easy. Okay, so I'm assuming that most students won't get the click. That's why I put this in difficult. Now this is the next puzzle where you have to make a simple table. This is very simple. Okay, I had kept this in easy. The only reason being is just read the last statement. Okay, don't read the 7. Amit is a power engineer and plays chess. That is what is being asked. A chess player is a power engineer. So even if you don't make this table, even if you don't read this, you can reach on to the answer. Okay, that's why I keep it as easy. But you should have that eye to pick up the right link to reach on to the answer. Let's come on to the next. This is again a tabular puzzle, which is very easy. Okay, because the information given here is straight. So write for Richa, write for Ankita, whatever is given, write it, put it in the table, and you will reach on to the answer. Okay, video solution, you can check the exact way to solve this. So again, an easy puzzle that should have been solved. Let's come on to the next. This is a row arrangement puzzle. Okay, I had kept this in moderate because it is time consuming. Yes, if you check the video solution, it will be little time consuming, but you should get the answer. There is nothing, because this is related to this, this is related to this. So it is not like I'll get one link from here, I'll get one link from here. No, all the sentences are linked. 1, 2, 3, these are your first link, then fourth, fifth, sixth, this is your second link, 7, 8, 9. So statements are in such a sequence that I just have to read the statement and make the row arrangement. Okay, I don't have to think much. That's why it is time consuming, but it should give you the answer. Okay, so a moderate, and there are two questions to it, okay, which should have been solved. And now the last one, which I'll again keep it as moderate, is a tabular puzzle where there will be two possibilities depending upon the conditions given. Okay, so this you can again keep it as a moderate question. It will take time, but you should get the answer. So overall, if I had to say easy, there are total 14 questions which are easy. Out of that, I expect you to solve somewhere around 12. Okay, then there are 7 moderate questions. Out of that, I expect you to solve 4. And there are 4 difficult questions. Out of that, I am expecting you to solve 2. So out of 25, okay, at least you should get 18. Okay, this is for an student who is average with logical reasoning, which means he has just started, not much of practice. Okay, if you practice enough, okay, you should be able to get 21 to 22 with good practice. But if you had just been through the classes and you had solved not much of exercise problem, but you had still solved few, you have the basic idea about it, you should get around 17 to 18. Okay, out of this expected attempts, if you ask me, the correct attempts would be somewhere around say 15 to 16. Okay, and here you can take somewhere around 18 to 19 correct attempt, okay, with a student who has practiced a lot. So I hope this gives you a better idea about what you could have expected from the LR section of this CMAT mock.
Hi, welcome to Endeavor Open Mock CMAT 3 in the 2022 season. So we are here to talk about the overall analysis of this particular mock. We have the spread of the spread of the percentiles here. So you look at it, here we have 80 percentile has been pegged at 121, 90 percentile has been pegged at 146, 95 percentile at 174, and from after that there's a big jump. 98 percentile is at 212, 99 percentile at 223, and then 100 percentile at 300. So what this tells you is the overall level, the difficulty level of this particular paper was easy to moderate level. So if you are aiming at a good college, you should have achieved at least around 212. 98 percentile and above is considered to be a good score. 99 percentile and above is more than welcome, and is a good gateway to a good college. So overall, you should have aimed at around, let's say, 212 to about 230, that range at least, if you are aiming for top colleges under CMAT as far as this particular mock is concerned. Thank you.